Hello everyone, this is Randy Biner again. I am joining you today again with this LinkedIn challenge that's currently running. It's called 10 Tips for 10 Days. And what it is, it's basically ordinary people like me trying to inspire the community on LinkedIn and beyond. So my theme has been how to avoid regrets in life. You can't not have any regrets, but you can at least try to avoid them. So I've built a program. I've already done like 3 videos. The first one was the importance of bucket list. The moral compass, which is basically a list of your values in life, and then how to avoid a quarter life crisis. So today we're going to talk about the best marriage advice ever. And obviously this is an important topic, and so my video today is maybe a little bit longer than the others are because I just think it's that impactful, that powerful of a message, and hopefully you'll agree with me. So let's get started. I'm going to talk to you about basically 3 things today. The first one is, how do you pick the right mate? How do you know? Because if you may make a mistake, you could have a regret later in life. So how do you know? The second is, how do you make sure that you are aligned at the beginning and throughout your marriage? And then the third one is, I'm going to share with you a tool that my wife and I have used for years to significantly not only cut down the number of fights, but also the severity of the fights. So happy wife, happy life, right? So what I'm going to do right now is first talk about how do you pick your mate. Now, if you look at this here, you can see that most people would ask a question like, could I imagine living with this person for the rest of my life? That's obviously a very, very good question to ask, and a lot of people think about that way. But what I found is if you actually just change one word, look what happens. So if you change with to without, at least what happens to me, the first version was just like a sentence, a thought. But when I ask myself, could I imagine living without this person for the rest of my life, it becomes like an activation of the vagus nerve. It becomes like an emotional connection. So it's like my cranial nerve, the vagus nerve, will send a message from my brain to my body. And so this shows me that that's actually a really important question to ask. And I hope you'll have the same experience as I do. The second question, if you wanted to try that out as well, is if we had a child together, would I want that child to grow up and be just like my spouse? Or in this case, your future spouse, the person that you're considering to be your partner for life. So again, basically what we're asking is, would you want to have your child, would you want that child to have the same characteristics as your partner? So that's the first step, is kind of like, how do you pick your mate? The second one is, how do you know, how can you make sure you stay aligned throughout the marriage and also from the start? So what happens is, obviously a lot of people spend a lot of time and money just planning the wedding, but may not spend as much time on actually planning the marriage. So they plan the wedding, but they don't plan the marriage. And so what I've done is I've developed this tool 25 years ago. I call it the moral compass. And I've been using it to make all my major life decisions. And basically what it is, it's a list of your top 10 values in life. So as much as it works for me, it works with 2 people as well. So what I always recommend to do for young couples starting out is just for each of you to make a list of your top values and see if you're aligned. Because if you're not, you may have a regret later in life. And let's take an example. So let's say one of you wants to start a family, but the other one's like, nah, maybe not. So you may think, okay, I'm sure I'll convince this person later on, but what if you don't, right? And so I could probably guess that you may have some issues down the line. And so if you actually are really open and honest with your values and you share it with your partner at the beginning, then that sets you up as well, I think, on the right track. And then, so that was the second thing. And then the third tool that I'm sharing with you today is this cool tool that my wife of 24 years and I have been using successfully And I would say for us, it's probably cut down about between 80 and 90% of our fights. So if you think about it, a lot of the fights start with, because there's a lack of validation. People are not on the same page. So I'm going to give you an example. So let's say I'm the bad guy, and because I'm like jovial, joking, and let's say my wife is actually not in a mood for that. So she's like, okay, something is really important to her, but I just don't get it. So we may have a normal argument that very, very quickly can escalate to a real big fight. And so what we do is we have made an agreement with each other, and we shook hands, and we basically said that if the fight reaches a level where one of us is just about to blow a gasket, we use the words, I'm serious. So that is, for lack of a better term, it's like it's a safe word, right? And so what it does is, like, we're arguing, and then she says that, and then I stop. Because it doesn't, now when I stop, it doesn't mean that I agree with her. It just means that it's for whatever reason, this is really, really important to her, and I need to de-escalate the emotions. So we cool off, we reconvene when tempers are cool, and then we talk about it. And then I'll ask her, so what was it? Why was this so important to you? And then when she tells me, it actually, what it does is it helps me, first of all, I learn, so I understand her better, because most likely it was a trigger, something that I said or did triggered that response. So by her being open with me about that, I can then learn, and then I can avoid those triggers in the future. The other thing it does, it creates a tremendous amount of trust. Because think about it, if you're arguing with someone like really, really hard, and then you say that word, I'm serious, and then they just stop, and they basically they show you that whatever you're talking about is less important than you. So it means you matter. Like, they basically say, I hear you, you matter. And that's a very powerful message to send. Now, it's important, I mentioned we have an agreement, we shook hands, so it's not something that can be abused. So it's not like you can just be throwing it out willy-nilly, oh, I'm serious here, I'm serious there, because that will erode the trust. So it's going to take you a while of successful de-escalations until you get to the point where it becomes second nature. So as we all know, marriage takes a lot of work, and but this particular tool has probably allowed us to reduce our fights, like I said, between 80 and 90%. So this is really, it's worked for us really well, and that's why I wanted to share this with you today. So again, first is to recap the questions that you can ask yourself to find the right mate. The second was using your list of values, that moral compass, at the beginning of your marriage and also throughout your marriage, to make sure you're aligned. And then the third one is this tool that hopefully will also allow you to cut down on your fights. So I hope you found this valuable and impactful. I would really love for this message to go out as far as it can, because I think it's that important. So if you like it, please comment, share it, like it. You can also see the other videos at hashtag No Life Regrets if you want. And I've even engaged the help of my dear friends at Vengreso, Mario Martinez and his team. They are by far the best team in the world that I know in social media marketing and social selling. So Mario, I'm challenging you to help get this message out. I know you can do it, you and your team, but thank you guys very much for tuning in today. And if you want to learn more, I'll do another video tomorrow on how to make important life decisions. Thank you so much.